The image shows a page featuring two links, one adult Link in the foreground and a smaller Link in the background. The setting appears to be Kokiri Forest, with a large tree resembling the Great Deku Tree in the background. The Japanese text translates to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Strategy Hint Book, Chapter of the Spirit Stone. This page depicts a guide on how to play the ocarina in the game, showcasing the sheet music for the Kakariko Village theme. The page features a list of locations within the game in a table of contents, followed by the musical score for Kakariko Village, with button prompts to help the player reproduce the song. We can see Link playing the ocarina in a small image, and instructions are provided on how to play different notes using the controller buttons. Let's play the ocarina sometimes, forgetting the dangers of Hyrule, and playing the ocarina as you please is nice. If it's a simple melody, you can play it on the ocarina. The sheet music presented here is the Kakariko Village BGM. Practice hard and try playing it in your favorite place. Contents: Kokiri Forest, Inside the Deku Tree, Hyrule Castle, Lon Ranch, Kakariko Village, Lost Woods, Goron City, Dodongo's Cavern, Zora's River, Zora's Domain, Lake Hylia, Inside Jabu's Belly, Temple of Time, Item Get List, Child Link Edition, Easy Ocarina Classroom, Kakariko Village, Music by Koji Kondo. Description of the sheet music and button prompts follows how to play the ocarina. Press the button while tilting the 3D stick upwards. Press the button while tilting the 3D stick downwards. Press the button while pressing the R trigger button. Press the button while pressing the Z trigger button. This page depicts a vibrant illustration of Link, the main character from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, wielding the Master Sword high above his head. He appears to be in a stone-walled dungeon or temple setting, judging by the background. This scene likely represents the early stages of the game, perhaps within one of the first dungeons encountered. The text at the top is the title, reading The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Strategy Hint Book. Below that, it states Chapter of the Spirit Stone. The text below the image mentions, from the beginning of the game, a thorough guide until you become Adult Link, and complete map strategy guide of the 3 dungeons in Child Link's era. This page depicts Kokiri Forest from the game Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It is the starting location for Link's adventure. The page focuses on the initial steps in Kokiri Forest, guiding players to obtain the sword and shield and practice basic controls. The title reads Kokiri Forest. The subtitle explains, led by the fairy Navi to the Great Deku Tree's Plaza. The text begins, one morning Link woke up from a nightmare, and the fairy Navi came to him. She is an envoy of the Kokiri Forest guardian deity, the Great Deku Tree, and it seems she has come to call Link. The section titled, First, Let's Get the Sword and Shield, explains, the Great Deku Tree's Plaza is just beyond Link's house. You should be able to get there by going to the right side. However, you can't go there right away. First, you need to equip yourself with a sword and shield. You'll need them. Leave Link's house, go left and head towards the back of the forest training area. There should be a small hole there. Go inside. The text below the sword image says, Sword is in the depths of the forest training area. The text next to the sword image explains, Kokiri Sword. Stand in front of the hole, and yes will be displayed in the action icon on the screen. The section titled Practice Operation in Kokiri Forest explains, Kokiri Forest is designed with terrain that is perfect for practicing operation. It is important to practice action operations here sufficiently before heading to the Great Deku Tree. It's better to practice until you get used to it. Also, the bridge extending from Saria's house's roof might be unexpectedly difficult to cross. Let's practice carefully. The points for practice are listed as pond and stepping stones. Practice auto-jumping. Jump in the direction you want to go with the 3D stick. Just defeat the Tektites. If you jump continuously, you might get 5 rupees. Signboards. Signboards can be cut vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. Using this properly will become important as the game progresses. The section titled, Let's Buy the Shield at the Shop explains, you can only buy the shield at the shop. Rupees can be found by cutting grass, so try to find them. Let's save up diligently. The text next to the shield image explains, Deku Shield. Shields can only be bought at the shop. Rupees can be found by cutting grass, etc. Let's save up. The text next to the picture of the Gorogoro Rock says, Gorogoro Rock. Gorogoro rocks are rotating counterclockwise. At the very back of this place, there is a treasure chest that contains Kokiri Sword's entry. The text in the red box on the left says, at the shop counter, 5 rupees are dropped in a dark place. The shopkeeper doesn't notice, so let's pick them up. It's a little mean, isn't it? This page depicts a guide for the beginning of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, focusing on the initial stages of the game. It starts with a section titled Through Mido's Gate. It explains that after obtaining the Kokiri Sword and Deku Shield, Link needs to head to Hyrule Field. However, Mido is blocking the path and won't let Link pass. The guide suggests equipping something in the equipment screen to resolve this situation. The next section is Inside the Deku Tree. It mentions heading to the Deku Tree Plaza where Deku Babas are present. It advises players to collect Deku Sticks, noting they can be obtained here and don't need to be purchased. The guide highlights that Navi and the Deku Tree are in front of the Deku Tree Plaza, and players should talk to the Deku Tree. It reveals that Link needs to defeat monsters inside the Deku Tree as a test of courage, marking this as the first dungeon. A red box emphasizes that after speaking with the Deku Tree, it will open its mouth, revealing the entrance to the first dungeon. Following this is a section titled Z-Targeting in Battle is Absolutely Useful Z-Targeting. It explains that Z-Targeting has three main uses. Firstly, from a distance, players can use Z-Target to focus on people or signs to initiate conversations or read them. Secondly, it positions the camera behind Link, making him face forward. Thirdly, it is described as very useful in battles. The guide includes image captions illustrating these points. One image shows enemy is Z-targeted, indicating it makes enemies easily visible and encourages getting closer. Another image says aim for opening, suggesting that jump slashes when Z-targeting can deal double damage. The final image in this section advises that after obtaining items like the fairy slingshot, Z-targeting enemies from a distance allows for accurate attacks. Lastly, there is a section under Kapora Gabora's Hyrule Know-How titled Pieces of Heart. It starts by saying that having only 3 hearts can feel uneasy, but reassures players that defeating dungeon bosses will increase their maximum hearts by 1. It further explains that pieces of heart are scattered throughout Hyrule and encourages players to collect them. Gathering 4 pieces of heart will increase Link's maximum heart capacity by 1. The text ends with Kapora Gabora's signature Ho-Ho Tilde. An image shows the Piece of Heart Get screen, indicating that pieces of heart are complete and maximum HP has increased. This page depicts a guide for the Inside the Deku Tree dungeon in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It features a map of the first floor, highlighting key areas with numbered markers. We can see Link in game screenshots, navigating the dungeon and facing enemies. The page provides tips on how to proceed through this first dungeon, focusing on using the fairy slingshot, which is the featured item for this dungeon. It also gives some advice on dealing with enemies like Deku Babas and collecting items. Inside the Deku Tree, aim and shoot enemies with the fairy slingshot. The first dungeon is inside the Deku Tree, the guardian deity of Kokiri Forest. Here, Link will obtain the fairy slingshot, an item exclusively for Link. How to defeat the large spider, which is the biggest mystery of this dungeon, is explained. 1F1. What happens when you look into the big spider web? After entering the entrance, the first thing you see is a large spider web. If you look at it from Link's viewpoint, it seems you can go down. However, you can't do anything now. 2. Go up the ladder to the second floor. Go up the ladder on the left side of the entrance to proceed to the second floor. Deku Babas on the first floor are okay to ignore, but if you defeat them with the Deku Stick or Deku Nuts, you can obtain Deku Nuts as items. Cut down the grass in the back to get recovery hearts. Kapora Gabora's Hyrule Trivia. Golden Skulltula. Golden Skulltulas are found in dungeons and Hyrule Field. It is good to defeat them diligently. In places other than dungeons, it is better to look for them at night. If you defeat a lot of them, something good will happen at the Skulltula house in Kakariko Village. Deku Baba. Hit the stem of the Deku Baba with your sword to defeat it. If you hit the head when it opens its mouth, it becomes a Deku Nut, which is a convenient item for item collection. Be careful about timing. Deku Nut. Deku Stick. This page shows a guide for a level in the game The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, displaying maps of the second and third floors of a dungeon. The guide focuses on how to navigate these floors, obtain the fairy slingshot, defeat enemies like Deku Nuts and Big Skulltulas, and solve puzzles using items like Deku Sticks and the Deku Shield. Extra Zelda. Deku Nuts. Deku Nuts are enemies that hide when approached, so be careful and approach while watching them. If you get close, they will throw items. They sell items all over Hyrule such as Deku Nuts and Deku Seeds. They also have a variant called Aki Nuts. 3. Reflect the ball with the Deku Shield. Deku Nuts are ineffective even if you slash them with your sword. Focus Z and prepare your shield, and when they spit out a ball, Deku Nut, reflect it back to hit the Deku Nut. They will give you hints. 4. Drop the ladder with the fairy slingshot. Use auto jump to cross the floating platforms and obtain the fairy slingshot. On the way back, go to the upper floor you entered from, and use the fairy slingshot to drop the ladder there. It seems like there is a ladder. It looks like an old ladder. 5. Light the Deku stick and open the door. To get to the 3rd floor, climb the ivy on the wall behind the treasure chest in the map's treasure chest room. Stalwall will be defeated by the fairy slingshot. If you don't defeat it, you'll be in trouble. To get out of the compass room, approach the torch stand with the Deku stick, light it, and then move it to the other torch stand to light it. 6. Jump down aiming for the spider web. Big Skulltulas have a weak point on their abdomen, so defeat them by attacking their abdomen with a sword or fairy slingshot. Then aim for the spider web on the 1st floor and jump. If you break the spider web of the Big Skulltula, you can proceed to the basement. This page depicts a map of Basement 1 floor, B1F, in a dungeon from the game Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The map is numbered with rooms and lettered points of interest. Gameplay hints are provided in numbered boxes around the map, showing Link in different scenarios using items like the slingshot and Deku stick. Hamidashi Zelda. Deku Babas come in 2 types. Those that move their tongues and those that stand still. The ones that stand still will grow back even if you defeat them, so they are useful for collecting Deku sticks. B1F. Carry the fire from the candle stand with a Deku stick and burn the spiderwebs. If you crawl through the small holes, you will go around B1F and return to the 1st room. Be careful of Baby Goma falling from the ceiling. In this room, bombs are necessary to enter. Furthermore, a boomerang is required to obtain the Golden Skulltula. In other words, you will have to come back for it later. 7. Burn the cobwebs. When you step on the switch, the candle stand will light up. Light a Deku stick and burn the spiderwebs in front of the door leading to room 8 before it burns out. If you don't jump over shallow puddles using auto jump, the fire will go out. 8. Aim for the eyeball switch. The Deku Nut strategy for this room is the same as in room 3. Here you can hear hints that will be useful in room 12. To get to room 9, shoot the eyeball switch above the door with the slingshot. If you run out of ammo, cut the grass. 9. The switch is underwater. Press the underwater switch to lower the water level, then use the platforms to get to the other side. If you dive directly above the switch, you can press it easily. The water level will return after a certain time, but you should be able to make it in time without rushing. This page depicts a guide for the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, focusing on dungeon progression and a boss encounter. The page includes instructions for navigating through level B2F and strategies for defeating the boss, Goma. Here are the translations of the Japanese text. 10. Yet another Deku stick. Light the Deku stick and light the 2 candlesticks to open the door. If you don't defeat the Deku Babas, they will suddenly attack, which is dangerous. If you run out of Deku sticks, you can get them from these Deku Babas. They regrow many times, so it's convenient. 11. Proceed to B2F. First, push the block and drop it down. Then light the Deku stick from the candlestick you used at the beginning and use the dropped block as a foothold to burn the spiderweb at location B. If you don't drop the block first, you'll have to go around B1F again. 12. Attack in the order of Nissan Ichiban. You can use the hint in room 8 to defeat the triplet Deku Nuts. From left to right, they are Ichi, Ni, and San. The attack order is Ni, San, Ichi. Use the Deku Shield to deflect their projectiles. Boss Armored Parasitic Beast Goma. Look up at Goma on the ceiling from Link's perspective to start the battle. Its weak point is its eye. If you shoot its eye with the slingshot, it will be paralyzed. So slash its eye with your sword. When shooting the slingshot, be sure to Z-target. It fled to the ceiling. Goma will drop larval Gomas when it flees to the ceiling. Shoot it before that. Deku seeds can be obtained by defeating larval Gomas. You can also get them by cutting grass. This page depicts Hyrule Castle and Castletown in Ocarina of Time. It describes Link's journey from Kokiri Forest to Hyrule Castle and his encounter with Princess Zelda. The page highlights obtaining the Fairy Ocarina, exploring the lively Castletown, receiving a treasure from Saria, and getting a heart container. It also mentions the inaccessibility of Castletown at night, suggesting a time-sensitive element to gameplay. Hyrule Castle, travel, and meeting Princess Zelda. Having been entrusted with the spiritual stone of the forest by the great Deku Tree, Link finally departs from Kokiri Forest. Crossing the vast Hyrule field, he aims for Hyrule Castle. This is Hyrule Castle. It's a little sad to part ways with Saria. Fairy Ocarina acquisition. After saying goodbye to the great Deku Tree, Link heads out of Kokiri Forest towards Hyrule Field. On the hanging bridge, Saria hands over the fairy Ocarina. At the entrance to Hyrule Field, Fukuru Kepora Gabora will be waiting for Link. Saria's treasure, fairy Ocarina. You can't do anything with it here yet, but it's a very useful item later on. Lively Castletown. Lovely Castletown. In the bustling Castletown you can hear stories from many people. Let's talk to the girl near the central fountain, Malin from Lon Lon Ranch. To the next page, Fairy's message. Hey Forest Fairy Itachi Ranch's Malin. Heart container get, let's find Granny's dog. Dogs only appear at night, so once you exit towards Hyrule Castle wait for night. In the evening, if you return to Castletown, a dog will be there. Approach the dog and take it to Granny's house in the back alley. Heart container get, you got a heart container. If you collect 4 pieces of heart, you can increase your life. Cannot enter Castletown at night. Hyrule Castle is located in the upper right of the map displayed on the game screen. In other words, it is positioned north of Hyrule Field. No matter how urgent you are, you cannot reach it during the day. Let's wait for night. Attack when it gets dark, the drawbridge rises and you cannot enter Castletown. Be careful of Stalbaby at night in Hyrule Field. Treasure Shop opens only at night and Bombchu Bowling, Bombag Get After are also places where you can get heart containers. This page depicts a guide on how to navigate Hyrule Castle in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, focusing on avoiding lookout soldiers, passing through the courtyard, and waking up Talon. The first section, titled Be Careful Not to Be Spotted by the Lookout Soldiers, advises players on infiltrating Hyrule Castle. It mentions that entering Hyrule Castle is quite difficult, and instructs players to refer to the map route to avoid being seen by the lookout soldiers. If spotted, you will be sent back to the very first gate. The Hyrule Castle section provides a map with a red path to follow. Text boxes on the map give additional instructions. One box advises to walk along the embankment instead of the path, suggesting this is a better approach. Another box points out a climbable rock wall and suggests jumping into the moat from there and swimming. A further instruction mentions that if you proceed to the back of the screen and are spotted, you will be returned to the milk crate area. The next section, Passing Through the Courtyard, explains how to get through the courtyard. After Talon leaves, use 2 milk crates to create a foothold and jump over to the hole on the opposite side of the moat. Even at night, lookout soldiers are present, so caution is advised. It also describes how to navigate the courtyard, advising players to walk without being seen by the lookout soldiers. The text mentions that when a soldier turns their back, it's your chance. The Outrageous Zelda section discusses what happens after meeting Princess Zelda. It explains that after talking with Princess Zelda, Impa, Zelda's caretaker, will teach Link the melody Zelda's Lullaby, which is the first ocarina melody you learn. Finally, the section Wake Up Talon instructs players on how to wake up Talon. It states to set the pocket cucko given by Malin to the C button. As morning approaches, use the pocket cucko to wake up Talon, who is dozing off. The text advises not to rush when waking him. A dialogue box shows Talon saying, "What is it? I was having such a good dream." This page depicts Lon Lon Ranch from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The page is titled Lon Lon Ranch and features information about activities and secrets within the ranch. The page starts by mentioning that riding Epona is something to be patient about until you grow up. There are 2 main sections on this page, Delicious Lon Lon Milk and Wooden Crate Puzzle. In the Delicious Lon Lon Milk section, it explains that upon arriving at Lon Lon Ranch, you should enter the house on the left where Talon is sleeping again. By waking him up, you can participate in a minigame to find chickens. If you successfully find all the chickens, you win, otherwise Talon wins. As a reward for finding all the chickens, you receive a bottle of Lon Lon milk. Drinking Lon Lon milk when in a pinch will restore your hearts. The Wooden Crate Puzzle section is about a puzzle in the barn at the back of the horse area. There are 6 milk crates that you need to move according to the diagram provided to reveal a small hole. Inside this hole, a piece of heart is hidden. The diagram shows the arrangement of crates and the numbered moves to solve the puzzle. The objective of the chicken minigame is to find 3 chickens within the time limit by grabbing and lifting the chicken you believe is correct. Finally, there is a section titled Kapora Gabora's Hyrule Trivia about the world of day and night. It explains that while time flows in Hyrule, it is stopped in places like Castletown and Lon Lon Ranch. To experience the differences between day and night, you need to advance time in areas like Hyrule Field and then re-enter locations. It suggests revisiting places at different times to discover new things. The screenshot shows a dialogue indicating that Malin and Talon are already asleep and that you should come back when it's your turn. This page depicts Kakariko Village in the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time game, showcasing various activities and points of interest within the village. We can see Link interacting with chickens for a side quest, and information about the Skulltula house and how to obtain rewards there. The page also highlights the usefulness of Zelda's letter in progressing through the game, specifically in opening the path towards Death Mountain. Collecting the chickens might be a fun and slightly chaotic task for players, while the Skulltula house offers a rewarding side objective. Kakariko Village, Chicken Bullying Prohibition. It is written that in Death Mountain, which has the second spiritual stone, Kakariko Village is located on the way to it. It is a peaceful village. You should not bully the chickens in this village. You will be in for a terrible experience. Let's collect 7 chickens. 1. Start the chicken gathering request by talking to the woman in front of the entrance. First, there is 1 chicken near the entrance. 2. 1 chicken is near the older sister. Pick it up and jump from near the house under construction. 3. You can glide with the chicken and jump in front of the Skulltula house. 4. If you glide from in front of the windmill, you can go to the other side of the fence. There is 1 chicken there too. 5. Climb the fence from the other side of the fence and get on the roof of the windmill. There is 1 chicken there. 6. There is also 1 chicken near the exit towards Death Mountain. 7. There is a wooden box in the back of the lookout tower. Rotate attack on this box. Then get a sky bean. Skulltula house. Collect the golden Skulltulas and go to the Skulltula house. If you defeat 10 of them, you will receive a useful item as a reward. Outside of dungeons, it seems good to search at night. Zelda's letter is very effective. The path to Death Mountain is a continuous uphill road, and the gate is closed by a guard soldier. In Hyrule Castletown, if you show Zelda's letter given to you by Princess Zelda, he will open it. After talking to this soldier, the mask shop in Castletown will open. If you want to buy a Hylian shield cheaply, you can buy it, and it's a good deal. Soldier's dialogue. Well, Hyrule Castletown, if you want to buy a Hylian shield cheaply when you return to Castletown, I will tell you a good shop. Image caption. Here is the Happy Mask Shop. It is a shop that gathers happy masks that bring happiness to people. Text box in Mask Shop image. Here is the Happy Mask Shop. We gather masks that bring happiness and smiles to people. This page depicts the lost woods from the game Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, a mysterious forest known for returning travelers to its entrance if they take the wrong path. The page serves as a guide to navigate this area. It highlights the importance of listening to melodies within the forest to find the correct way. A map is provided to visually aid players in traversing the maze-like structure. 2 specific events within the Lost Woods are detailed. An opportunity to upgrade the number of Deku sticks Link can carry by interacting with a business scrub, and an encounter with Stockade where playing the ocarina can earn Link a piece of heart. The page also emphasizes the helpfulness of Kepora Gabora's messages encountered earlier in the game as important hints for progression. Lost Woods. Mysterious forest that returns you to the entrance no matter how many times you enter. Listen to the melodies you hear. Even if you return to Kokiri Forest, Saria is not there. Saria should be waiting for Link in the deepest part of the forest sanctuary, which is located beyond the Lost Woods. As Kepora Gabora says, let's proceed by relying on the melodies heard from the forest. If you take the wrong path, you'll be returned to Kokiri Forest. If you get lost no matter what, refer to the map on the right. But if you wander off the path, you might encounter interesting people. Follow the sounds you hear from the forest. Kepora's messages, which appear frequently in the early stages of the game, are full of important hints. 1 business scrub nuts for Deku stick up. As an apology, I'll make it so you can carry more Deku sticks, but it'll cost 40 rupees PPI. If you pay 40 rupees, he will make it so you can carry up to 20 Deku sticks. First, use the Deku shield to deflect the projectiles he spits out. 2. Play the ocarina for Stockade. Stockade disappears as soon as you get close. After learning Saria's song in the forest sanctuary, play that song for him to get a piece of heart. This page depicts a guide for the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time game, focusing on the Kokiri Forest and Lost Woods areas. It shows Link in various locations within these areas, such as engaging in slingshot target practice, encountering Deku nuts and Wolfos, and exploring warp points. Saria is also featured, indicating the objective of finding her in the forest sanctuary. The page highlights some potentially tricky parts, like defeating Wolfos to progress and using bombs to open paths. but also enjoyable moments like slingshot challenges and discovering warp points. Stray Zelda. In the location marked with a 3, there is a stray fairy. If you descend below this location, you will find a stall child. Have an ocarina session with the stall child to get a piece of heart. Challenge the slingshot target practice. There's a target, so try hitting it with your slingshot. If you score 100 points 3 times in a row, you'll be able to carry up to 40 Deku Seeds, slingshot ammo. Mask appraisal meeting. In the hidden hole at this location, there's someone who will appraise the masks you borrowed in Castle Town. If you have masks, be sure to stop by. Search for Saria and head to the Forest Sanctuary. In the Forest Sanctuary, Deku Nuts will appear. Defeat them by reflecting their projectiles with the Deku Shield and proceed further. Go up the long stairs and you will be able to meet Saria. At the entrance to the Forest Sanctuary, you must defeat the Wolfos nearby to proceed further. Do not rush ahead recklessly. With the Hylian Shield, you can reflect projectiles. Proceed with the Deku Shield. The return path is easy if you walk on top of the maze. You should also be able to find a fairy fountain that restores hearts and offers a beautiful view. Convenient warp points. There are 2 convenient warp points in the Lost Woods. You cannot use them immediately, but they will become shortcuts for later use. It seems like Gorons are entering from the Goron City side of the Lost Woods. Refer to P14. If you use a bomb or bomb flower to blow up the rock in the center of the ground, a hidden hole will appear. You can dive deeper if you have the silver scale. Refer to P21. From now on, the Forest Sanctuary will become a very important place for you. That's what it feels like. In the deepest part of the Forest Sanctuary, you will learn Saria's song. By playing this melody, you will be able to talk to Saria no matter where you are. This page depicts Goron City from the game The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It highlights how to get to Dodongo's dungeon by blowing up large rocks on Death Mountain Trail. The page also provides information on navigating Death Mountain Trail, encountering Goron people, and defeating Tektites. There's a section about finding hidden holes with advice from Kepora Gabora, and instructions on how to enter a Nikki or Big Brother's room in Goron City by playing Zelda's Lullaby in front of Darunia's room. Goron City. Blow up large rocks blocking Dodongo's dungeon. On Death Mountain Trail there are large rocks. Beyond these rocks is the entrance to Dodongo's dungeon. However, to destroy these large rocks you must get Death Mountain Trail. As you climb Death Mountain Trail, there are very large rocks. In front of those rocks are small rocks, and if you think they are rocks where Goron people live, you are right. There is nothing you can do here. So continue up the mountain path towards Goron City. Along the way you will be able to see Kakariko Village far below. Goron people are generally slow-paced and laid back. If you talk to them, they will happily tell you various things. Tektite. There are red Tektites on land and blue Tektites in the water. When you get close they will hop and attack. Target them with Z and defeat them with the slingshot. If you aim carefully from a distance and attack with the slingshot it will be even easier. Kepora Gabora's Hyrule knowledge. Hidden hole. Have you ever found a hidden hole? Perhaps there are places where you can search by setting bombs in suspicious locations. You might find it easily if you have bomb bags. Inside the hidden holes you can find insects, butterflies, rupees, gossip stones, and other things. Ho-ho. How to enter a Niki's room. In the deepest part of Goron City, the place with the big pot, there is Darunia's room, the Goron leader's room. However, the door seems to be closed. To enter Darunia's room, stand on the carpet in front of the door and play Zelda's Lullaby. This page depicts a guide for the Goron City and Dodongo's cavern areas in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It shows Darunia, a Goron chief, and provides tips on how to interact with him and navigate Goron City. The guide highlights obtaining a heart piece using rotating pots, additional points of interest in Goron City, and how to proceed to Dodongo's cavern. The page seems to be aimed at helping players overcome tricky parts of the level and enjoy the gameplay. Dance Darunia. Darunia seems to have many problems and is quite grumpy. You should let him hear Saria's song. Then you will be able to get the Goron bracelet, and you will be able to lift bomb flowers. You can blow up various places in Goron City with bomb flowers. It also reacts to Zelda's Lullaby, but it's not very interesting. Darunia's dance is worth seeing once. Hot Darunia. Get heart piece with rotating pot. Heart pieces that can be obtained in Goron City are only one. Bomb flowers are necessary. Set fire to the brazier in the bomb flower shop. Use a Deku stick to light the brazier around the rotating pot. Then the giant pot will start to spin around and around. If you don't have a Deku stick, there are pots in Darunia's room, so try breaking them. Asterisk, the braziers around the giant pot are a total of 4. Light them from the entrance side of Darunia's room. Asterisk, when the giant pot starts rotating, throw a bomb flower from the upper level. When the pot stops at the smiling face, you will get a heart piece. Check here too. Asterisk, there is no way to go to the other side of the lava room. You will be able to go later though. Asterisk, to stop the rampaging Goron running wildly, bombs are necessary. If you stop it, the number of bombs you can carry will increase. Asterisk, on the second floor from the top, there is a bombable wall. Break the bombable wall and enter the room to get bombs. There are Gorons with very large bodies in the back, so it would be good to meet them once. Asterisk, when throwing bomb flowers, light them with a Deku stick. If the angle is bad, you may fail. 2. Dodongo's Cavern. Once you get the Goron bracelet, pick up a bomb flower near the entrance and throw it down. Then the large rocks blocking the entrance to Dodongo's Cavern should be destroyed. Even if you fail, new bomb flowers will grow soon, so don't worry. This page depicts a map of Dodongo's Cavern, a dungeon in the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The map is split into 2 floors, B1F and 1F, and includes various numbered rooms and lettered points of interest. Spiders are marked on the map indicating enemy locations. In the top right corner, there is a picture of Link in the dungeon. This dungeon is focused on using bombs to open paths and solve puzzles. Bomb flowers are highlighted as important, especially before obtaining the bomb bag. Deku sticks and Deku shields are mentioned as items that can be bought from business scrubs within the dungeon. Getting the golden Skulltula in room 5 is noted as a bit tricky, and requires activating a pillar lift on 2F and exiting the dungeon temporarily. Dodongo's Cave. Open the path by destroying walls with bombs. The echoing explosion sound of bombs against the rock walls. Bombs are the main feature of this dungeon. Until you get the bomb bag, bomb flowers will be useful. They will definitely be very useful for defeating enemies and solving puzzles. 1. Move the Armos statue onto the switch. Once you blow up the wall blocking the entrance with a bomb flower, use the ladder in the back to go up to the right side. Once you blow up the wall using a bomb flower, proceed further down the passage. Be careful not to get caught up in the explosion when you defeat the Dodongos that appear along the way, as they explode when defeated. At location 1, place the Armos statue on the switch. This switch must be kept pressed down, otherwise you will not be able to open the door leading to 2. There is a business scrub who sells Deku sticks on the first floor. They are valuable here. If your Deku shield is burned, you can buy one from the business scrub in room 5. The golden Skulltula on the floor of room 5 is a bit troublesome to get. After activating the pillar lift with the switch on 2F, go outside the dungeon once. Extra Zelda. This page depicts a strategy guide page for the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, showcasing tips and strategies for different sections of a dungeon. The page features gameplay screenshots and text boxes explaining how to overcome obstacles and defeat enemies. It highlights Lizalfo's enemies, using Deku sticks to light torches, obtaining the compass and using bomb flowers to create stairs. The setting appears to be within a dungeon, likely early in the game. 2. Hylian shields peace of mind. Defeat the 2 Lizalfos and the door to the next room will open. Lizalfos are quick enemies that attack by circling behind you, but if you have the Hylian shield equipped, you can defend by crouching with the R trigger. Be careful because Z targeting will make you auto-jump. Asterisk, evade their attacks like this and attack with a jump slash, while Z targeting. Asterisk, equip the Deku shield because in other locations it can be burned by enemies. Lizalfos. Lizalfos are fast-moving enemies that attack with their claws and swords. They are formidable foes, but more than that, you should be careful not to fall off the narrow walkways. It might be better to not move around too much. 3. Light the Deku stick fire. Here, Deku sticks are essential. Light the Deku stick on fire and light the 3 torch stands in the next room to proceed. You don't need to defeat Dodongo, but if you run around with the Deku stick it might catch fire. By the way, the tail is its weak point. Asterisk, if you don't have a Deku stick, there is a room with Deku nuts at hand. Try breaking the wall with a bomb flower. 4. Amos strategy compass get. Go through 3 rooms and press the switch to open the door on the opposite side. Go to room 4 ahead to get the compass. To get out of the room, you must defeat all the Amos. Use bomb flowers inside the room. Asterisk, Z target Amos and throw a bomb flower at the timing when the bomb flower explodes. Amos are stone statues that move when touched and rotate. They are tough, but if you become accustomed to them, you can defeat them with bombs. When they turn bright red, they are vulnerable. 5. Bomb flower to make stairs appear. Place a bomb flower on the central switch in the passage to room 4. Bomb flowers are placed in the vicinity of stone pillars and detonate in succession. After the stone pillar becomes stairs, climb it and proceed to the second floor. Asterisk: if you don't place it right in the center, only one side will explode. You can redo it as many times as you like though. Hylian Zelda Replay Dungeon. This page depicts a guide for a dungeon level in a video game. Seemingly for the second floor, 2F. The level map is shown on the right with numbered points of interest. The page provides instructions on how to navigate through different rooms and solve puzzles. We can see Link navigating spike traps, dealing with Amos statues, using bombs and eyeball switches and moving blocks. It seems like a typical dungeon level with a focus on puzzle solving and combat. It highlights tricky parts like timing jumps and aiming bombs, suggesting these could be challenging for players. 6. Moving the Amos statue. After going up the stone steps, proceed to room 6. There is a switch on the central pillar. Apart from the Amos statue in front, all other Amos statues are the type that will move when touched. First, defeat the likes with Deku Nuts. 7. Caution Spike Trap. Jump over the broken hanging bridge with an auto jump, and proceed to room 7. If you carelessly fall below, you will get caught in the spike trap's mechanism. Walk slowly and carefully in 2 steps and proceed to the back of the room where the moving blocks are. Pull a block and use it as a stepping stone to reach the ladder. It's blocked by a wall, but down here is a place where many moldorms appear. Asterisk: this is where bomb flowers grow. If you throw a bomb flower at the cracked wall, you can destroy the wall. 8 and 9. Extinguish the flames with the eyeball switch. The same mechanism appears in rooms 8 and 9. If you hit the eyeball switch with a Deku Nut, you can extinguish the flames that are blocking your path for a certain period of time. There is plenty of time while the flames are extinguished, so there is no need to rush. Eyeball switches cannot be seen when Z-targeting, so look around in first-person view. Asterisk in room 9. After extinguishing one set of flames, move to the foothold, and aim for the 2 switches on the left wall. 10. Bomb drop from the hanging bridge. Once you get the bomb bag, go back to the room with the hanging bridge. Step on the switch and activate the lift. At location 10, throw a bomb from the broken part of the bridge. You need to destroy both eyes of the large Goma for it to be okay. Throwing bombs can be difficult, as the throwing distance may not be sufficient. It might be easier to stand at the very edge and use OK. Asterisk 11. Where is the block? If the large Goma's mouth on the first floor is open, proceed further into the back. In the room directly ahead, there is a switch in the center. Place a block here and the door to room 12 will open. If you drop the block, the door will close. Pick up the block again and proceed to room 11. In room 11, defeat the Lizalfos first. This page depicts a guide for the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, focusing on the Dodongo's Cavern dungeon. Under the title Extra Zelda Info and Fire Actor, it describes map sections and boss strategies. Section 12 Boss Room explains that after dropping a block you will enter room 12. It says to bomb the center of the floor in room 5, which is in the 5th room's ground center, to open a hole leading to the boss room. It reminds players not to forget to get bombs from the treasure chest. Section 9 Bomb Bag describes room 9 where you can buy Deku Nuts and Deku Seeds, which are used as slingshot ammo from the Deku Nut located there. It warns to be careful in the back of the room where 2 Lizalfos appear, as falling from there will lead you back to room 2 on the first floor, forcing you to start over. The Boss Fierce Flame Ancient Dragon King Dodongo section details the boss fight strategy against King Dodongo. It advises throwing a bomb into King Dodongo's mouth when it opens wide. If a bomb explodes inside its stomach, it will become paralyzed, allowing you to approach and attack with your sword. This process should be repeated to defeat it. However, be aware that King Dodongo will roll into a ball and charge at you, so you need to evade this attack near the lava's edge. If you run out of bombs, you can use the bomb flowers that are available around the area. The section, After Getting Bombs, Go to the Great Fairy Fountain, guides you after obtaining bombs. It says that after getting bombs, you should aim for the summit from the Death Mountain climbing path. The red flags along the path are landmarks to guide you to the summit. You need to destroy rocks blocking your way with bombs and use the Hylian shield to defend against volcanic rocks. At the summit, destroying the rock wall will lead you to a great fairy who grants magical power. Inside, you should play Zelda's Lullaby. It also mentions that the cave next to Hyrule Castle is another great fairy fountain. This page depicts the Zora River area in the game. After receiving the second Spirit Stone, the Fire Stone, from Darunia, the leader of the Gorons, Link now aims for Zora's domain, home to the Zora people, to find the last Spirit Stone, the Water Stone. It seems Zora's domain is located upstream of the Zora River. The page then asks, where is the third spirit stone? It explains that Octoroks appearing in the Zora River can be defeated just like Deku Nuts. By Z-targeting and deflecting their projectiles with your shield, you can defeat them. Be mindful of their attacks and proceed upstream. The terrain is a bit intricate, but if you follow the river, you should eventually reach the waterfall. There are tips provided for collecting items. If you destroy the rocks with bombs, you can jump to that spot first. Falling into the river will get you rupees. From this location you can glide. If you climb the ladder, there's another chicken, so use it to get to a higher place. Similarly, there's a heart piece obtainable with a chicken near the waterfall, though it's a bit challenging. If you play the ocarina for the 5 colored frogs upstream, you can get 2 heart pieces. The page also has a section titled, Check for Heart Pieces, which reiterates the methods to find heart pieces. You can use the chicken near the bean cellar on that high ground to reach it. Carry the chicken upstream. You can glide from this location. If you climb the ladder, there's another chicken, so use it to get to a higher place. Similarly, there's a heart piece obtainable with a chicken near the waterfall, though it's a bit challenging. If you play the ocarina for the 5 colored frogs upstream, you can get 2 heart pieces. Kapora Gabora's Hyrule Trivia section talks about magic beans. It asks if you have met the naked man in Zora River, who sells magic beans. The price increases with each purchase, but they will be useful later, so it's advised to buy as many as you can afford without being stingy. Magic beans are meant to be planted at specific locations throughout Hyrule. Looking forward to what happens in 7 years is mentioned. Finally, the Warp to the Lost Woods section explains that near the waterfall there is a warp point to the Lost Woods. However, you cannot enter the underwater hole unless you have the silver scale. It might not be used often, but it's convenient to have. This page depicts a guide for Zora's domain in the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It shows Link in Zora's domain and King Zora. The page provides instructions on how to enter Zora's domain, obtain the silver scale by playing a diving game, and get a piece of heart by lighting torches. It seems like the guide is walking the player through the initial steps in Zora's domain, focusing on key items and rewards. Zora's domain. Let's help King Zora, who is in trouble. King Zora, who rules over the Zora tribe, is in trouble because Princess Ruto, has disappeared. It seems he wants you to do something for King Zora, but what should you do? You're at a loss. To the other side of the waterfall. To enter Zora's domain, which is located upstream of Zora's river, you should play Zelda's Lullaby, Zeruda no Komoruta, in front of the waterfall. The waterfall's current will become weaker for a limited time, so aim for the hole on the other side and jump. After a certain period, the waterfall's current will return to normal. Get the silver scale. In Zora's domain, let's play a diving game. Scattered rubies in the water must all be collected within the time limit to get the silver scale. With this, you will be able to dive deeper than before, and you will be able to use the warp hole that connects to Lake Hylia. Let's quickly go to Lake Hylia. Light the lights and get a piece of heart. There is only 1 piece of heart you can get in Zora's domain. Carry fire from a Deku stick from where King Zora is and light the torches in order on the steps, in front of the shop during the day, and in the shallow waters of the lake near the waterfall. If you light the torches, a treasure chest will appear in the waterfall basin. Hamidashi Zelda. Zora's domain is a place where you can get rubies by breaking pots. Hachi's nest is also a place where you can get rubies from Hachi. * King Zora is worried about Princess Ruto. If you talk to him, he seems preoccupied with the princess and won't talk about anything else. * The vicinity of Lake Hylia is near the diving game location. Jump from the location of the diving game and it will be right in front of you. This page depicts a guide for Lake Hylia in the game. It mentions that even though you came to find Princess Ruto, Lake Hylia is a great fishing spot. Fishing is especially fun with the Rumble Pack. The page has a section titled Search for Princess Ruto's Letter. It explains that if you go to Lake Hylia from Zora's domain, you will find something sparkling in the lake right in front. It's in a slightly deeper place, so you'll need to dive to pick it up using the silver scale. This is Princess Ruto's letter in a bottle. If you set it to the C button, you can read it. Apparently, Princess Ruto is in the belly of Lord Jabu Jabu. You should show this letter to King Zora. The next section is titled Scarecrow Bonoru and Pierre. It mentions that in Lake Hylia, there are 2 strange scarecrows. They might not seem very useful at first, but something good will happen eventually. For now, try playing the ocarina for them. It explains that Bonoru is a scarecrow who remembers 8 notes melodies. If you play a melody for him, he will record it. Pierre is a scarecrow who plays the recorded melody after a few seconds. If you play an ocarina song for Banoru, Pierre will play it back. Pierre is described as a wandering scarecrow seeking a sound to soothe his soul, a wandering scarecrow. Finally, there's a section about heart piece at the fishing pond. It says that at the fishing pond, you can get a heart piece if you catch a fish that is 50 centimeters or longer. If you have a rumble pack, you can enjoy a more realistic fishing experience. The page also shows images of gameplay, including Link getting a bottle, diving in the water, talking to King Zora, and fishing. It also has images of the scarecrows Banoru and Pierre. There is a note saying that to open Lord Jabu Jabu's mouth, you need a fish. You can buy fish at the shop, but you can also catch them in bottles in the shallow waters of Zora's domain. This page depicts information about masks and the people who desire them in the game. It seems to be guiding the player on where to find people who want specific masks. The first section is titled Keaton Mask. It shows a scene in Kakariko Village where Link is talking to a guard. The text says, "Perhaps, is that the Keaton something mask? Lately it's been popular." The second section is titled Skull Mask. It shows a scene in Kokiri Forest where Link is talking to Skull Kid. The text says, "Initially, this person, the Kokiri village boy. For his son, he said he wanted it. He happily uses it himself. Adults aren't allowed." The third section is titled Spooky Mask. It shows a scene in Kakariko Village where Link is talking to a young boy. The text says, "Oh, a mask, is it? It feels differently scary than a foom dampy fellow." The fourth section is titled Bunny Hood. It shows a scene in Hyrule Field where Link is talking to a running man. The text says, "Those long ears are the ears of a god. Oh, indeed, that is the legendary animal, the rabbit." There is also a section at the bottom titled Kapora Gabora's Hyrule Trivia, which is about gossip stones. It explains that gossip stones are located in various places in Hyrule, and if you wear a mask, they will tell you game hints and Hyrule rumors. They talk about various things and can be found in unexpected locations, so you should look around. It also mentions that gossip stones usually swing their necks and are in Hyrule during the day, telling you the time and direction. They were apparently placed in locations that are usually hard to reach within dungeons. This page depicts a map of Jabu Jabu's belly from the game Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It showcases the layout of the dungeon across 2 floors, 1F and 2F, with numbered rooms indicating the progression. Key locations are marked, such as the entrance, boss room, and a room where the boomerang is located. We can see Link navigating the dungeon in the screenshots provided. The page also highlights enemies like the jellyfish-like Bari and the Octoroks, and it mentions using the slingshot to activate switches, Jabu Jabu's belly, Selfish Princess Ruto and the adventure inside the body. Jabu Jabu's belly, the guardian deity of the Zora tribe, is the third dungeon. Princess Ruto, who has gone missing, is likely waiting for help somewhere deep inside. The structure isn't too complex, but it's quite a challenging dungeon. 1. Switch on with slingshot. When you enter the dungeon, 2 Octoroks are lying in wait, but you can simply deflect their projectiles with the Deku shield as usual. The door in the back will open when you shoot the ceiling switch with the slingshot. Bari, these jellyfish-like monsters float in the air. If you touch them, you will get an electric shock and your body will be paralyzed. If you don't have the boomerang yet, running away is the best option. However, if you throw Princess Ruto at them, you can safely defeat them. This switch can be locked on with Z targeting. Bubbles are repelled when touched, so you can ignore them and proceed. Let's try going to the graveyard in the back of the well in Kakariko Village around 9 p.m. at night. You can go treasure hunting with Dampé's grave digging tour. Let's get a piece of heart. This page depicts a walkthrough guide for a section in the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, focusing on navigating through rooms in a dungeon and carrying Princess Ruto. The page features an image of Princess Ruto on the right side and is divided into numbered sections detailing gameplay instructions. It starts with carrying Ruto from room 2 to room 4, mentioning that she falls into a hole in room 2 and you need to follow her to B1F room 3. After talking to her, you need to carry her. In room 4, you need to lower the water level and then follow Ruto again when the water level rises. Section 5 explains how to use Ruto to activate a switch in room 5, after returning to 1F using the rock lift. It mentions that the switch in room 5 requires the weight of 2 people, so Ruto is needed. Defeating all enemies in room 5 will get you a boomerang. The text also notes that if you leave Ruto outside room 5, she will return to room 2. Section B1F shows a map layout with numbered rooms from 3 to 10. Room 3 is described as having Deku Babas that come out of the water, and it mentions there is a Deku Nut salesman. Section 6 describes how to deal with red tentacles in Room 6. It says to press the switch to open the door in Room 6 and place Ruto on top of the switch. Then target the neck of the tentacles in Room 6 with Z targeting, and attack with the boomerang to defeat them. Defeating the red tentacles in Room 6 will make the red tentacles in front of Room 7 disappear. Sections 7, 8, and 9 explain how to eliminate the remaining tentacles in Rooms 7, 8, and 9. It says that defeating enemies in Rooms 7, 8, and 9 will sequentially remove the obstructive tentacles. Finally, defeating all enemies in Room 9 will eliminate the green tentacles in Room 2, allowing you to fall into the hole that appeared in that location along with Ruto, and proceed to Room 10 from the previously inaccessible area in Room 3. 234 Carry Princess Ruto. In Room 2, you can find Princess Ruto, but she will fall into a hole. Follow her and go to Room 3 on B1F. After talking to Ruto, you will be carrying Princess Ruto. From Room 3, proceed to Room 4. In Room 4, lower the water level, and then follow her again when the water level rises. 5 Princess Ruto and on top of the switch. Return to 1F using the rock lift. Carry Princess Ruto and head to Room 5. The switch to open the door in Room 5 requires the weight of 2 people. It is necessary to defeat all enemies in Room 5. Defeating all the enemies in Room 5 will get you a boomerang. If you leave Princess Ruto outside of the room, she will return to Room 2. 6 red tentacles disappeared. Press the switch to open the door in Room 6. Since you need to step on the switch, place Princess Ruto on top of the switch. Target the neck of the tentacles in Room 6 with Z targeting and attack them with the boomerang. If you do that, the red tentacles in front of Room 7 will disappear. 789 Let's erase the remaining tentacles. If you defeat the enemies in Rooms 7, 8, and 9, the obstructive tentacles will disappear one after another. Ultimately, if you defeat the enemies in Room 9, the green tentacles in Room 2 will disappear. So fall into the hole that appeared in that location with Princess Ruto. From there, go to Room 10 from the place in Room 3 that you couldn't reach before. Hamidashi Zelda, Extra Zelda information. Kakariko Village well bottom place where the carpenter is walking. From 2 wells to Impa's house back entrance. If you fly with a Cucco, you can go to the back entrance of Impa's house. This page depicts a guide for the water temple in the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It shows tips and strategies for navigating rooms and defeating a boss. The page is divided into sections numbered 10, 11, 12, and a boss section. Section 10 describes a room where Princess Ruto, Rutoheim, is kidnapped and involves a fight with a giant Octorok. The weakness of the Octorok is its back. It suggests using the boomerang to stop its movement and then attacking with the sword. It also mentions that the green part is the weak point and to be careful of counterattacks after sword strikes. Section 11 is about a bouncy floor room. It explains that after taking the central lift in Room 10 to the second floor, Room 11 has a bouncy floor. It advises using the boomerang to stop movement and proceed carefully to the first floor. Section 12 is titled Switch On with Boomerang. It describes placing a wooden box on a switch in Room 12 to open a door in a higher place leading to the boss's room. It mentions that using the boomerang on the switch activates it, but a transparent wall prevents using the slingshot. It notes that the wooden box that was initially bothering players is indeed important. The boss section is about the boss fight against Electric Shock Rotating Insect Baronade, Dengeki Senkai Mushi Baronado. It describes Baronade as a formidable boss and recommends Z targeting and lock-on. The strategy involves using the boomerang to hit the tentacles connecting Baronade to the ceiling, then attacking the main body, and finally, attacking only the main body after the surrounding jellyfish-like creatures gather. It advises stocking up on recovery items like milk because it will be a long battle. And at this point you should have 3 bottles. 10. Kidnapped Ruto in Room 10. Princess Ruto has found the Zora's Sapphire, but she gets kidnapped by someone. This leads to a battle with a mid-boss. It's a giant Octorok, and the Octorok's weak point is its back. Stop the Octorok's movement with the boomerang, then attack with your sword. The green part is Diocta's weak point. After attacking with the sword, there will be a counterattack, so be careful. If you run an in-course, you can easily catch up with the Octorok, but be careful of the thorns. 11 Bouncy floor from the center lift in Room 10. Go up to the second floor. Room 11 is a bouncy floor. Since there is a bouncy floor in Room 11, stop the movement with the boomerang. Then proceed carefully to the first floor at your feet. 12. Switch on with boomerang. Place the wooden box that is placed on the switch and proceed to room 12. Move to a high place. Using the boomerang to hit the switch that is in a closed room from a higher place will activate the switch. Here, a transparent wall obstructs the slingshot, so you can't hit it. The wooden box that you were initially concerned about is indeed useful. Boss Electric Shock Rotating Insect Baronade, a considerably strong boss. Basically, lock on with Z targeting and throw the boomerang. Repeat the process of hitting the tentacles that connect Baronade to the ceiling. First, target the main body and the jellyfish-like creatures around it. Then paralyze the main body with the boomerang, and finally attack only the main body. Since it will be a considerably long battle, you should have plenty of recovery items such as Lon milk. At this point, you should have 3 bottles. This page depicts the Temple of Time from the game. It starts by mentioning that after Link collected the 3 spiritual stones, he was on his way to Princess Zelda. As he was about to enter Castletown, the nightmare he had in Kokiri Forest, which resembled a pirate, became a reality right before his eyes. The page then describes the scene Ocarina of Time under the bridge. A white horse carrying Princess Zelda rushes out of Castletown, with Impa holding the reins. Princess Zelda, looking worried, throws something towards Link, which falls under the drawbridge. At that moment, a man on a black horse appears behind Link. It advises that once this cutscene ends, you should immediately jump into the moat and search for what fell under the bridge. It is the Ocarina of Time, a treasure passed down in the royal family. It is at this point that Link learns the Song of Time contained within the Ocarina. Next, it talks about the Master Sword. It instructs to head to the Temple of Time from Castletown. By playing the Song of Time in front of the stone tablet, you can open the door to the inner sanctum of the spiritual stones. Pulling out the Master Sword from the pedestal will finally transport you to the world 7 years into the future. It concludes by saying that this marks the true beginning of the adventure. Below this section, there is an image of Ganondorf and text indicating that this is Ganondorf, the man seen from the window of Hyrule Castle courtyard. A red box mentions that eyes meet at the edge of the window, and Sage Roru speaks, revealing Link's new mission. Next to an image of Child Link, the text says, "You should have seen a white horse just now. Tell me which way it went." A blue box next to an ocarina image describes it as the royal family's heirloom that Zelda entrusted to Link, and that it emits a mysterious light. Finally, next to an image of Sheik, Sheik says, "I am Sheik, a survivor of the Sheikah tribe." The page ends by posing questions about Sheik. The first person adult Link meets is the mysterious young man Sheik. What is his purpose? What is his true identity, friend or foe? This page depicts an item get list for Child Link in Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It outlines when and where to find various items. The list is categorized by the game's progression. Before Deku Tree Sama, inside Deku Tree Sama, and after clearing Deku Tree Sama tilde before Dodongo's Cavern. The table is organized with columns for dungeon items and items, with locations listed down the side. For Kokiri Forest, the dungeon items are the Kokiri Sword, Deku Stick, Deku Nut and Kokiri Shield. In the Lost Woods you can find the Fairy Slingshot and the Forest Spiritual Stone. In Hyrule Field, you can obtain the Fairy Ocarina and Saria's Song. For Hyrule Castletown, specifically the Castletown Market, you can get Zelda's Lullaby. The text explains that you should play Zelda's Lullaby in front of the royal tomb, located deepest within the graveyard. Doing so will open the tomb. Defeat all the enemies inside and proceed to the back to check the stone tablet. At Lon Ranch you can get Bottle 1 and Epona's Song. The text mentions Bottle 1 and Epona's Song are obtained through the Cucco game at the ranch. In Kakariko Village, you can acquire Bottle 2, the Agony Stone, and the Sun's Song. The text explains that Bottle 2 and the Sun's Song are rewards for collecting 20 gold Skulltula tokens. It also notes that bottles can be bought cheaply at the shop in Castletown Market after talking to the soldier in Kakariko Village first. In Zora's River, you can find the Goron Bracelet, which is a reward for the Cucco Gathering game. Finally, in Zora's Domain, you can purchase magic beans from someone eating beans by the river's lower reaches. The price gradually increases. Even if you plant the beans, the effect will not appear until you become an adult. This page depicts a guide for the game Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, showcasing Link and Zelda sitting in a grassy field, likely in Hyrule. The page serves as an item checklist for players progressing through the early stages of the game, specifically from Dodongo's Cavern to Jabu Jabu's Belly. The page uses color-coded circles to categorize items: red for sea items, green for equipment items, purple for ocarina melodies, dark blue for magic taught by the Great Fairy, and green for other items. The guide explains the meaning of the text colors: red for item names, green for equipment items, and purple for ocarina melodies. It notes that this list covers items obtainable from the game start until Link becomes an adult, and it is a list of possible items to acquire. Not necessarily all items are required. The guide then details items obtainable in specific locations. For Dodongo's Cavern, it lists the bomb bag as an item to get after clearing Dodongo's Cavern, and before Jabu's Belly. For Jabu's Belly, it lists the boomerang as an item to obtain. Moving on, under Death Mountain Trail, it mentions obtaining Din's Fire, which is described as magic, Great Fairy magic. The instructions state to go behind the Bombchu bowling alley in Goron City and blow Zelda's lullaby inside. It also lists Bombchu as a reward from the Bombchu bowling prize. It explains Bombchu bowling is a prize and can also be bought at the store but requires an adult's wallet, yellow wallet, and 10 gold skulltulas to obtain. Next is Hyrule Castle Courtyard, where you can obtain the Piece of Heart. After obtaining bombs, go to the well in Hyrule Castle Town and blow Zelda's lullaby inside. Under Zora's River Submerged Rupee Gathering Game, it lists Scale of Silver. Lastly, for Bottle 3, it mentions Letter from Ruto is inside. It says this is a bottle with Ruto's letter inside and the silver scale is required. For Zora's Domain, it lists Farore's Wind as magic, Great Fairy magic. It instructs to go to the cave at the spring source of Zora's River and blow Zelda's lullaby inside. Also listed is the Scale of Gold as an item to obtain. In the red box titled Hamidashi Zelda, it mentions Sun's Song and explains if you play it during the day it becomes night, and if you play it at night it becomes day, highlighting its convenience as an ocarina melody. It also mentions Ocarina of Time and Song of Time as related items, along with the Master Sword. This page depicts a guide on how to play the ocarina in the game. The title is Gentle Ocarina Classroom. The text starts with a headline that says, "A must-have item for long autumn nights that warms your heart when you play it." It continues by asking, "Are you playing the ocarina? It's a super important item indispensable for game strategy, but sometimes, let's try playing freely." When you become able to play your favorite songs, you can experience a different kind of emotion than in the game. The guide is divided into 2 steps. Step 1 is titled, Step 1, Learn the Sound of Each Button. This section explains that to play the ocarina freely, it's important to memorize the sound each button makes. It mentions that the melodies in the game are mostly playable with the A button and the 4 C buttons. So it advises to first memorize these 5 notes: Re, Fa, Ra, Shi, Re. It then instructs the player to practice playing these notes in the order shown by the arrows in the diagram, noting that the pitch will gradually increase, and understanding this relationship is key to playing higher or lower notes by knowing which buttons to press. Step 2 is titled, Step 2, Semitone Shift and Whole Tone Shift. This section explains that while music is based on Do, Re, Mi, Sa, So, La, Si, Do, the ocarina initially only uses Re, Fa, La, Si, Re. However, by using the 3D stick, Z trigger, and R trigger, you can play other notes like Do, Mi, and So. Tilting the 3D stick upwards raises the pitch by a whole tone. A whole tone is described as moving 2 keys away on a piano keyboard, including black keys. It gives examples like Do raised a whole tone becomes Re, and Mi raised a whole tone becomes F sharp. It then directs the player to try it out. Press the A button for Re, then press a while tilting the 3D stick up to get Mi, and advises to look at the correspondence table on the right page for more details. The page includes a diagram of the Nintendo 64 controller with labels indicating the function of different controls for ocarina playing. Stop, cancel, and the notes Re, Fa, Ra, Shi, Re assigned to the C buttons and a button. It also labels R as raise by a semitone, Z as lower by a semitone, and the analog stick with raise by a whole tone, lower by a whole tone, and vibrato. This page depicts a guide on how to play the ocarina in the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. We can see Link in the image playing the ocarina, suggesting this is a tutorial on how to use this instrument within the game. The setting seems to be a natural outdoor environment, possibly Kokiri Forest, given Link's attire and the presence of Kokiri-like characters in the lower images. This section likely focuses on the foundational aspect of playing music, starting with the basic Do-Re-Mi scale, which is essential for progressing in the game and solving puzzles related to music. Learning to play the ocarina correctly is not just enjoyable but crucial for advancing the story and unlocking hidden areas in Ocarina of Time. Here is the translation of the Japanese text. Ocarina Do-Re-Mi correspondence table. Scale. Ocarina performance buttons. Piano. Ocarina can produce the lowest note. Ocarina can produce the highest note. Step 3. Let's try playing Do-Re-Mi. Do-Re-Mi, let's try blowing. If you understand the whole and half-step stories well, try blowing the scale from the correspondence table above in order from left to right. It should become Fa Sol La Si Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Si Do. The button pressing method may be difficult at first, but you will get used to it quickly. Even if you use different button operations, you can produce the same sound. For example, as in the example on the right, both the raised 3D up sound and the lowered FAC down sound are MI, which means that there are sounds that are the same even if the buttons are different. If you look at the piano keyboard, you will understand. As you can see in the correspondence table above, the ocarina covers a scale of 1 octave or more, so you can play various songs. If you want to use sharps, add the performance button R as instructed. This page depicts a guide on how to play the song Silent Night on the ocarina in the game. The page is titled Step 4 This Month's Practice Song. The text explains that learning to play songs can feel stiff like a music class, so it's better to start with a song you already know. By playing repeatedly, you'll get used to the button controls and understand how the ocarina works. It advises using the 3D stick or R trigger for button operations, especially for sounds that require additional input. For these sounds, press C or A either before or at the same time. If you press R after, the sound will become weak. The text concludes with Let's Play. Below this section there's a section titled Recommended Play Spot, Great Fairy Fountain. It suggests that playing at the Great Fairy Fountain will create a fantastical Christmas atmosphere. The text adds that being particular about the location for playing is part of the true path of the ocarina. The song Silent Night is displayed as sheet music using ocarina button icons. The notes are shown across several lines of the staff, guiding the player on which buttons to press in sequence. Finally, a vertical text box on the left side explains that while you can freely play melodies you've learned in the game, pressing the buttons in the correct sequence will trigger a demo scene regardless of your location. This page depicts Link, the hero from the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, brandishing his sword and shield. In the top right corner, there's an inset image of a man who appears to be signing a pink ocarina. This page is an advertisement for a Dream Present campaign to commemorate the release of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. To apply, you need to attach the application ticket located at the bottom right of the page to a postcard and send it to the provided address, clearly stating your desired present number, full address, name, and phone number. The deadline for applications is December 15th, and applications must arrive by this date. The address is for the 64 Dream Editorial Department at Mainichi Communications in Tokyo. There are 6 prizes listed in this Dream Present campaign. First prize is a Nintendo 64 software copy of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, with 10 winners selected. It's described as the greatest masterpiece game of the century. Second prize is a Miyamoto-san autographed ocarina with 5 winners. Winners can choose between a white or pink ocarina and are asked to specify their preferred color. Third prize is a Miyamoto-san autographed Nintendo Company Guide with 5 winners. This is described as a rare item and includes a CD-ROM. Fourth prize is a Nintendo Power Zelda cover issue published by Nintendo of America with 3 winners. This prize includes a Zelda poster. Fifth prize is a Miyamoto-san autographed Keaton mask, described as slightly painful, with only 1 winner. It's mentioned that this nice mask was bought at Fushimi Inari, Nintendo's hometown, and is intended as a charm for business prosperity and family safety, with a humorous request not to sell it. Sixth prize is a Triforce Great Deity set, also for 1 winner. This item, also bought at Fushimi Inari, is described as a seemingly fake but actually real item. This prize uniquely includes 2 faux ox ornaments as a bonus, and applicants are encouraged to worship it daily. Finally, it's announced that 64 Dream magazine will feature special Zelda supplementary booklets for 3 consecutive issues. The chapter of the Master Sword will be released on December 18th, and the chapter of the Light Arrows, on January 21st Street. Collecting all 3 booklets will supposedly reveal everything about Zelda. This page depicts the cover of a guidebook for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It features the logo 64 Dream at the top, followed by 3 character portraits: Link, Darunia, and Princess Ruto. The bottom of the page displays the title of the guidebook, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Dream Hint Book, Part 1. The background has a blue stone texture. The text at the top translates to January Zelda Release Commemoration Issue Supplementary Appendix.